Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be going over my Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. I've officially crested over the 2-year mark of ownership with this Wrangler, so I want to talk about what it's like to own a Jeep Wrangler and how much it's cost to own this Jeep Wrangler, as well as the reliability of the Wrangler. And so with that being said, as always, before we get in the video, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So for those of you that aren't familiar with my Wrangler, it is a 2022 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 with the Extreme Recon package, hence why it has the 35-inch tall tires, and so far I've kept it mostly stock. The only thing that I've actually changed is, well, you guys can probably see, it's got satin paint protection film. That's why the Tuscadero pink has this really cool satin finish on it. And then I have added an exhaust from AWE. Still absolutely love the exhaust. It still works the factory valve system, so you can do quiet mode and everything, but it sounds way better than stock when it's open. And yeah, so I mean, basically a 392 that is pretty much stock. I will be modifying it in the relatively near future. I've been talking about this for like over a year at this point. I just haven't had time. Basically going to do the AEV lift on it, where I'm going to add 37s, and there's new shocks and everything that come with that. But yeah, here's the Wrangler. I realize I should probably show how many miles are on this bad boy at this point. And getting in's always fun. But let's start her up. There you go, 10,847 miles. Now, over the course of the last couple of years, this has switched on and off between being my daily driver and my wife's daily driver. We got this for her, hence why it's in Tuscadero pink, and she daily drove it for the first few months, and then she got too pregnant to be able to get in and out of it. If you don't know, like you guys saw, getting in is not necessarily the easiest. So she stopped daily driving it, and then there was probably a period of about, I would say, so during the pregnancy, and then probably another 6 to 8 months after the pregnancy, that she didn't really touch this vehicle, and then she started driving it on and off. And then over the course of the last couple of months, there has been another person daily driving it, and I want you guys to guess what that person is. I'll show you some interior evidence, and you can guess in the comment section below. So we've got some trash and snacks here in the cup holder area. This is literally just sitting on the seat, and we've got this stuff here in the back, and there's more stuff in the trunk. Basically, it looks like a snack slash trash slash clothing explosion in here, and you probably assumed right. My wife is still daily driving this. For the last couple of months, she's gotten back in the Jeep. We sold her Defender, and so since she doesn't have that to drive anymore, we've been having her drive this until the next vehicle comes in. And the reason I wanted to show that is, if any of you happen to be married, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, no matter what car it is, if your wife drives a car, it'll turn into like a trash explosion inside. So if you happen to not be married, and if you want to experience what marriage is like, go walk up to your trash can, pull out the bag of trash, and just dump it out inside your car, throw it everywhere, and then you understand what it's like to have a wife. So all jokes aside, let's get into how well this has held up over the course of the last couple of years. And if you don't know, we happen to live in Utah, so we've got mountains, we've got snow, we've got salty roads, a lot of stuff that could, I guess, wreak havoc on a vehicle. And, in terms of that side of things, the Wrangler's held up extremely well. Now, I will mention that the paint protection film has helped out immensely. I recommend people at least get this on the front end of their vehicle. Now, this has the entire vehicle wrapped, which can be quite pricey. But if you're going to buy a vehicle that's more expensive, like a 392 Wrangler, and you're going to keep it for a longer period of time, I think it is well worth it, especially with these Jeeps, because they've been known to not necessarily have the best paint over the years. So having something that is over the paint that's going to prevent it from chipping and all that kind of stuff long term, I think that's worth it, especially the roof. I noticed that Jeep roofs always chip, and this is also wrapped. It's wrapped just in, I think it's like a satin black, it looks like, there up top. I can't remember, it's so long ago that I got this wrapped. But yeah, I definitely think it's well worth it. But yeah, I mean, no creaking, no rattling. I mean, it's a Wrangler, so you'd think it would have something like that. And it's, it's held up really well. The only thing I think is funny is you can see there's a bunch of rocks in the rock rail there, and then also here in the fender flare. Those collect, and the only way that I could imagine getting them out is either like picking them out, which you might scratch the paint if you don't have paint protection film, or just taking off the fender flare, taking off the rock rail. That would also get it off. And then I didn't really show the interior too much other than the garbage, but the seats have held up really well. These leather seats, again, it's only 10,000 miles, so it's not an insane amount of miles. And sorry, the lighting's horrible, but you can see even the driver's seat that's going to get the most wear, it hasn't changed all that much. Now, something to mention is both my wife and I, we are not very large people. I mean, I weigh over 200 pounds, but I don't have like a wide frame. That's a weird thing to say, but I do need to mention that because if you have a more junk in your trunk, I guess I should say, I noticed that does kind of wear on the seat bolstering more. It's such a weird thing to talk about, but anyways, that does kind of play into effect in terms of how much seats are going to wear over time. Well, I figured I'd go on a little drive here. I'm actually going to have to close the valves in the exhaust because the exhaust is so loud it wouldn't be able to hear me very well. But I figured this would be a great way to talk about what this is like to live with in terms of the daily driver. And here's the things you need to know. And this applies to every single Wrangler. If you have a short commute where you're mostly driving through town and you're not doing a lot of highway miles, Wranglers are fine. They're, modern Wranglers are comfortable enough, not the most fuel efficient vehicle on the planet, but, compared to big SUVs and trucks, it's not bad. I mean, let's see what I'm getting right now. My wife actually lowers the fuel economy, funny enough. I usually get like 16, she's getting 15. So she's not getting that much worse than, well, I usually get, like I said, just over 16 miles per gallon. And with this 392, the fun thing with daily driving is, it sounds cool. It's a ton of fun. But yeah, around town's not bad because the wind noise isn't too bad at lower speeds and the ride quality, all that kind of stuff. When you're on highway drives, it's not fun. You have to like yell for you to have a conversation with someone next to you because, and this has the top insulation because of the wind noise. So I think it's a good daily driver if you don't have long commutes, or, if you're, sorry, I gotta move back a little bit more. Or if you're okay with just all of that. And then the steering, it's very loosey-goosey. You get used to it. It's kind of it's part of the Wrangler charm, to be honest. And I've never been in a situation where I'm like, oh, I don't feel safe with this on-road. Off-road, when you go high speeds with the loose steering, and not the most fun. We'll open the valves up again. Such a nice sound, such a clean sound. So yeah, not the best daily driver, but it's a Wrangler. It's to be expected. You don't buy a Wrangler because you're looking for a comfortable luxury car. You get it because of the off-road capability, which it's fantastic. It's not the best at high-speed off-roading, obviously, but excuse me, low-speed crawling, nothing can beat this. The Wrangler is king, and it will be king for a long time. It's such a good crawler. Now, when it comes to cost of ownership, it has been very inexpensive from a maintenance perspective because this is an American vehicle and because you service it at a Jeep dealership, nothing special. It's pretty cheap. I think for the first couple of years, because there was like a oil change tire rotation special, I think I spent like $100 per year because you get like 3 oil changes and tire rotations per year for like, they don't offer that anymore because of inflation, but when I got it, it was like $90 per year, something like that. So regardless, maintenance on it isn't all that much, and it's not a specialty vehicle, so registering it isn't very expensive either. So it's pretty normal. Taxes, depending on your region, can be expensive, again, especially on a 392 that's, yeah, more expensive. And then insurance, people always ask me about this. This is insured as a regular Wrangler. Like, with my insurance company, on my insurance card, it just says Jeep Wrangler 2022. So you don't have crazy insurance. I think I pay like, I'm 26 years old. I think I pay like $100 a month. It's not expensive whatsoever, but I am married. Being married does lower your insurance rates. And then when it comes to reliability, this is the biggest disappointment. So I kind of have a thing on this channel where I buy vehicles, not necessarily purposefully, but just for fun, that are not the most reliable. That's why we bought the Defender, is to try it out. It's not the most reliable and usually good for content. This has been super reliable and it's been really boring. So you hear all the stuff, Jeeps, right? They're really good off-road, but they're horrible with reliability. They're gonna break all the time. And I understand I only have 10,000 miles, but in this same mileage period on our Defender, it had to go in the service department 3 times for stuff breaking. The only thing that I've had with this is sometimes off-road or under very hard acceleration, the power steering system overheats. Now, I've talked to some people in the Jeep world and they say that's just kind of an engineering flaw with it. I've never had a situation where I don't have power steering. It just says power steering system overheating. You may lose some level of, it's just something about like performance. Never been an issue, never stranded me on the side of the road, and it goes away after you turn off the vehicle and reset it. So it's not a big deal. So what I'm trying to say is been super reliable. I haven't had any issues with the engine. I haven't had any issues with the suspension. I haven't had any creaking or rattling outside of normal, You know, the Wrangler, you know, the top moves around because you can take half the vehicle apart. So outside of the normal movement you get in the Jeep interior wise, yeah, it's just been super boring from that perspective. That's why it's been a disappointment for the channel, because normally I have, you know, every few months a video to make on my vehicle. This is broken, this is broken, this is broken, and nothing's broken on this. So yeah, I mean, we'll see moving forward. We don't plan on selling this anytime soon. I'm actually planning, like I said, I'm planning on doing that AEV kit on it, where basically it's you get to lift it, you get better shocks, you get better springs. Then you can put 37s on a stock Rubicon, Extreme Recon, but I want to do that little, it's like a 1/2 inch lift. I think that'll help out with the stance, and it just drives so well. It makes it handle better. So yeah, we plan on keeping it for many years to come. So this will probably end up being, we'll see what happens, but one of the vehicles I keep for the longest. It won't be my oldest because I just bought that 2020 Land Cruiser, and that's well, 2 years older than this. So let me, you guys, think about the Wrangler in general, and then also the 392. But yeah, I mean, and also if you own one of these, let me know what your ownership experience has been like. What I would say is, from what I hear from people, it seems like if you buy the 4xe, most people have had issues with those. The 2.0 turbo, hit and miss. The Pentastar V6, those seem to be pretty reliable, and then these 392s, they seem to be really reliable as well. My personal opinion, I understand that not everyone can afford the 392, but if you're going to go Extreme Recon, I think it's worth spending the extra money getting the 392 while they still make them, because they're going to discontinue this, because it gets better fuel economy than the V6 or the 2.0 turbo, and it's just as reliable, if not more reliable, and you actually have power, and it's more fun to drive. It's like you're spending an extra $20,000. It's a lot of money. I get it. It's a lot of money. But that extra $20,000 gets you a vehicle that I think feels like it, I mean, this is a vehicle I never want to sell. Whereas if I had a V6 Wrangler, no offense, it's still cool, it's a Wrangler, I would be like, yeah, I'll probably get something, you know, the new Wrangler when it comes out. Whereas this, it's like, like I said, I never want to get rid of it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on Jeep ownership, but kind of disappointing that, I mean, I'm grateful that it didn't break, but also for content, it didn't break. I have nothing to really film.